opportunity of a lifetime.
Four Nations Face-Off has been a full-fledged fireworks show. It begins in Montreal, it ends in Boston.
Gentlemen, let's get ready for an epic battle.
Sweden, United States, Finland, or Canada. Well, there's no better feeling than playing for your country.
Look out! They're going to drop the gloves right away. Larkin scores!
Players were all excited playing for their country.
It was the most viewed non-Olympic game in hockey's history.
Almost 4 times the Stanley Cup rating.
I haven't seen the general country as excited for hockey as much as it was for this.
People traveled from all over the country and Canada to be here. Trying to go wide to the big hit there.
I feel like we're entering the golden era.
A hockey renaissance. Brodin shooting, score! Swedish Blue Line makes a statement.
Now come on, boys, let's go, let's go!
They score! Bradley again! Crosby!
The walls of the hockey world have been broken down. Everybody is interested in this.
Stanley Cup champion, Matthew Tkachuk. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
There's so many great countries with so many great players that have a chance to win with the star-studded roster that they have.
Here comes Granlund, Wilkie Hargan scores! He's in, Marner! Up top, it's Raymond, there's Zibanejad.
The championship game of a best-on-best international competition.
Let's go make our country proud here, boys.
Full score, the winning goal tonight.
McCarr sends it around. Marner waiting. Connor McDavid scores!
Wins it for Canada!
This lived up to the hype. This exceeded the hype.
It's great for hockey. It's great for these players.
Best hockey experience I've ever had. It blew the expectations right out of the water.
The NHL cracked the code. They nailed it.
What an electric freaking tournament.
Four Nations was kind of a quick appetizer.
Good afternoon, everybody. We're saving the best for last here. Today, super excited to be here to talk about the NHL, its growth, and the Four Nations Cup, which really, I don't know about anybody in the audience, but I was glued to that thing from start to finish, and I think it really was a moment for hockey where hockey just sort of elevated into the culture higher than it ever has. So, Keith, let's get it started. And you know, in marketing, a lot of us like to talk about what's the insight that led to the idea. So what was it that got to the idea to do the Four Nations Cup instead of the All-Star Game this year?
Well, I think this panel should be called Three Professional Athletes and the Other Guy. So thank you for that. I would love to say there was a lot of data insights, months of strategy around the Four Nations, but it was a tournament that we put together with the Players Association in an interest to get back to international competition after we announced the World Cup in 2028, and felt it was important to give a little bit of a taste to what was to come. The success, though, and obviously these guys will talk about it, was 100% based on the enthusiasm and the play by the players, right? The authenticity that that tournament showed, the love of country. These guys played as hard in those games as they would for a Stanley Cup. At least that's what we saw from it. And that's what made it so special. It really was that. Again, you could put any format together. If these guys don't buy into it, they don't want to be there, it doesn't matter how great of an idea it was. So all the credit goes to the Players Association for making sure that it was a success that it was.
Great. Kevin, can you talk a little bit about how the league and the Players Association collaborated to make this happen? Because I know a consideration is always kind of the load on players and how much they have to skate and play. How did that come about?
You know, I think, as Keith said, there was a hunger from the players. It's something that we've been discussing and asking for a long time. We had the 2014 Olympics, the 2016 World Cup, and things kind of slowed down after there, just given the circumstances. But every time we're brought back to the table, one of the things that the players always asked for was to get back to international hockey. So, again, the league did a great job of allowing that to happen, putting this great Four Nations face-off together, and the players showed how badly they wanted it once they got into the games.
Yeah, I'll say, William and Chris, can you talk a little bit about what it was like to compete for your country in this format, and then maybe also, Chris, you can say, give us a little bit of insight. The fight that got this whole thing started kind of lit a cultural fuse. It basically said, like, we're here to play and compete, not just to do a silly exhibition. Was that staged, or was that spontaneous?
I think it was pretty spontaneous, to be honest. I think we all knew it was coming just from the energy around the game. I think everything that was happening politically, there was a ton of drama, a ton of theater leading into that game, and it really set the tone for the whole tournament. I think everyone was kind of wondering just how intense those games are going to be, and I think it was made abundantly clear early on how excited everyone was to be playing best-on-best hockey and how much it meant to every single player.
Yeah, I mean, going into that tournament, you were very excited. I mean, like Chris said, you're playing against the best players in the world, and there's nothing more special than that, representing your country. And I think the Four Nations tournament was just a blast.
Yeah, that's great. Kevin, a little bit about, or maybe the players, if you want to jump on this. Like, there are a lot of emerging stars in hockey right now, and the game is quite international. The diversity of place of origin of the players is probably as diverse as it's ever been. Can you talk about kind of how that is making the sport more appealing?
Yeah, I mean, I think when you look at world competition now, it's the playing field is starting to level out. We have a third of our membership is outside of North America. Willie, and some of the other players that are from Europe are superstars in their country, and we're starting to see hockey grow in general, and I think that's something that the league is doing a great job working on, trying to establish, a footprint in all these different countries that have shown interest in the game. And like you said, some of these young players that are coming out of, maybe untraditional hockey markets are really starting to show the world that this is a sport to be reckoned with.
Yeah. And Keith, one of the things we talk about a lot at Sport Beach is how do you create fandom and energy. And obviously, I think it says here 135,000 people attended the 7 games, and the energy, talk about what that says about the demand for international hockey.
Yeah, I think that, what that showed us certainly, and everyone in the business, media, marketers, is what the potential for hockey can be. We think it's the greatest sport in the world. We have the greatest athletes in the world. And it doesn't often show up when you just look at, a metric of, television viewership and things like that. But what this showed was that you combine the skill of our players, the intensity of a game, you put them in an international setting like that, and the rivalries, right? Not just U.S., Canada, Sweden, Finland. In Finland, it was the second most watched television event in history. It doesn't matter whether it's sports or not.
That's amazing.
So when you put all that together, you start to realize that you're tapping into a passion that perhaps that casual fan isn't necessarily going to watch a lot of games during the regular season. Maybe they'll tune into the postseason if they have a favorite team or a favorite player. This transcended that. And Chris alluded to the political environment at the time. Never hurts to have heads of state chirping each other to get things a little bit more exciting. So ultimately, what it did, though, for us, most importantly, is it brought people in to see, perhaps even for the first time, how great this game is. And it actually transcended to the next week. We played an outdoor game in Columbus, the first time we've ever done that. Over 80,000 people at the Horseshoe. And we saw a lot more casual fans in the data and the research that came back. A lot of that was from the week before in the Four Nations.
Yeah.
So we think that those types of competition, going to the Olympics and showcasing these great players on an even bigger scale, will continue to help us grow the sport, for which we think, like I said, is definitely underserved.
Yeah. And I guess as a resident of Hockey Town and a hockey guy, like, I love it when hockey gets out into the broader culture. Like, Charles Barkley's on the NBA TNT talking about hockey, and I'm like, win for hockey, okay? Chris and William, how did the energy in the arenas, but also just the buzz and social media and out in the world kind of impact your desire to compete and your experience as a player?
Well, I think the buzz was incredible leading up to the Four Nations, and I mean, you just felt that from the initial start of the game, playing in Canada against Canada. It was just, the atmosphere was incredible when they brought Mario out on the ice.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't usually get nervous, but I gotta say that was a game where I was nervous. Like that was a crazy atmosphere, and that's something that I for sure want to experience again. And I mean, got the Olympics coming up, and got more teams competing in that, and I'm looking forward to that.
That's great. And Chris, are you guys like paying attention to that stuff when you're competing, or are you just like locked on the game?
I mean, you're pretty locked in your game, but it's hard to not kind of be aware of everything that's going on around it. I thought that the venues were perfectly selected too. I mean, the arena in Montreal there, the Bell Center, is really a cathedral to hockey. Just the fan base, the history, the way that the rink itself is constructed makes you feel like the fans are right on top of you. So I don't think there was, a more ideal situation to showcase our sport.
Great. Keith, what about commercial opportunities, brand partnerships? Did this international competition bring in new partnerships, new brands, or is it sort of the old ones that you've always been associated with? And how did that play out?
So all of our international competition like that is in a partnership with the Players Association, and our rights don't carry over to the traditional partnerships regular season. Obviously, we always like to give our partners opportunities because they're supporters of us. But this did open up an opportunity for us to talk to lots of new marketers, media partners throughout the world, and marketers in other countries, especially in Sweden and Finland. So that's great because you want to broaden your activation, you want to broaden the marketers that you deal with, and we see that continuing. And obviously, when we go to the World Cup in 2028, there'll be more countries that will participate, and therefore bigger opportunities, not just on a global basis, but individual country basis, building out those markets and getting a similar type of activation that we would normally get in North America in those individual countries to continue to grow the sport in those markets as well.
Kevin, we're at this Cannes Lion Festival, and people like me in the advertising industry, we're obsessed with awards. We love awards, and we fly all over the place to collect awards. What did it mean for this event to be Sports Business Journal's Sporting Event of the Year?
Means a lot. I mean, I think it's a testament to our game and the popularity, and especially the popularity we gained from the Four Nations face-off. We feel that, like Keith said, we have the best athletes in the world. We have some of the most marketable athletes in the world. And we just want to get them out there and show their personalities, show how hard they work, and show how great our game can be when you get these amazing international competitions. I mean, I think, you look at the NBA now is trying to transition a little bit into that with their All-Star game. You saw, how successful the show on Netflix was for them, but for us, that's the heart of our game, is our international play. And a lot of us grow up playing for our respective countries and have that desire and that national pride. And when you get to even the level of, playing pro, that doesn't go away.
Yeah. And William and Chris, how does international competition and an event like the Four Nations Cup unlock opportunities for you guys for your individual brands, new partnerships, endorsements, things like that?
Yeah, well, I think it opens up a door for sure with stuff in Sweden, getting partnerships there. I think a lot of people are interested into the international competition in Sweden when you have games like that. So that opens up a whole new door when we're able to play on that kind of platform, which is a lot of fun.
Yeah, great. Chris?
Yeah, I mean, I think there were a lot of opportunities post Four Nations for a lot of different players, especially me being a New York athlete. Be curious to see what it does for me as an Anaheim athlete now.
Yeah, it's hard to see that under your name as somebody that loved the Rangers as a kid, but, you know, life goes on, right? And you're reunited with Trouba, so we're happy about that. Anyways, look, Keith, I don't know if you can comment on this, but it seems like hockey is getting everything right now. Like the Ovechkin, Gretzky, the way the whole thing has been handled, the Four Nations Cup, now we have an amazing Stanley Cup going on. Talk about like what that looks like for the future of the game and what's a priority for the NHL going forward.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, you know, we've been getting a lot of things right for a lot of years. I think it was
well, now you're getting credit for it.
Right. Yeah. No, well, you know, I think, again, the credit really does go to the players. I mean, in any sport, right, it's all about the competition. And you look at what's happening right now in the Stanley Cup Finals, right, Game 6 tonight, 2 a.m. for everyone. But you're in a situation where, you know, 3 overtimes. I mean, the game is so good. It's so fast. It's gotten so much better, even from when these guys started playing originally. And we just need to expose it more, right? And it's all over the world. We need to focus in North America about getting more kids to play, building more rinks, the infrastructure, whether it's ice hockey or street hockey or looking at new surfaces to play the game. And then over in Europe, while they do play the game in a lot of countries, it's not about the NHL over there. It's about the individual players in Sweden, et cetera. But how do we build a business internationally like some of the other North American sports have done? Or you look at what the EPL has done back in North America, right? So for us, I think the growth, a lot of it comes from continued use of technology, which everyone's embracing. But how do we really take the game and the success we've had in North America and bring it to bigger, more commercial markets in Europe and other places where they love the game and we could take advantage of that passion?
Great, thank you. Chris and William, we were talking before. William, I was talking with your dad about the French Open final, and we were saying, like, tennis has never been played at a higher level. Talk about the way the level of hockey has increased and what is sort of, you know, what's different, Chris, for you in the 10 years you've been in the league? How is the game changing, and what do you think is going to be rewarded going forward?
I think it's kind of a cliche and a salty old veteran thing to say that the game has changed dramatically, but in the last 13, 14, 15 years, the game has changed dramatically. Like the talent level, the ability of these players. I mean, the stuff that guys like Willie, you know, Austin Matthews, McDavid, the Kachuk brothers, the things that they're doing on a nightly basis. I mean, it's must-watch television.
Yeah, I mean, I can just look back to the game against Canada. It was the highest paced game I've ever played in my life, and I think that just, I mean, along with the atmosphere and everything, I think everybody's pushing that level and pushing that bar even higher.
Yeah.
Kevin, what was it like in the 90s when you played?
I was going to say, when I came in the league, I was fast. And when I left, you know, I was being passed by. So, yeah, I mean, I think the game, you know, since 2004 and 5, really when some of the rule changes were implemented, they were put in place for our game to grow, to be faster paced, higher skilled, and, you know, just a better product on TV. I mean, you're seeing fighting maybe going down in the game a little bit, but then again, when you get into these marquee matchups, it's still a part of our game. You know, and I think that side of it, that hockey will always be a physical game, but we're starting to see just how skilled and talented the players are.
Yeah. And from the success of the Four Nations Cup, I guess, Keith, what have you learned from a business perspective that you'll apply to future international competitions? I know the Olympics are coming up in 2026. And I guess, William and Chris, what will you learn and apply as players that you might do differently or better in your next international competition?
I think from a business standpoint, you know, planning is the most important, and lead time, right? Especially for everyone here, these marketers, advertisers. The more time you can prepare, the better off we'll all be, right? On choosing venues. And at this point for 2028, we've already begun an RFP process for what cities we want to play in, because we need others invested, right? It's not just about us. We need cities invested. We need municipalities, governments. We need the local market invested. So the more time we have, which is why it's exciting that we announced 2028 when we did. So I think that's going to be critical. But, you know, it's really the relationship that the NHL and NHLPA has never been stronger. And I think you see that in so many facets of the game, right? You talk whether it's rule changes or anything else, because it's a true collaboration. So, you know, it's incumbent upon us to continue to have the conversations with the players. How much is too much? How often do you want to do this? Are you going to continue to be this? Is it going to be as exciting for you and interesting if you did this every year, or is it every 2 years or every 4 years? So I think that collaboration is going to continue to be key for the success.
For me, I think it's just, you know, want to prepare to win. And I think now that you've gone through that international competition where the best of best has been played, you've learned a little bit and had some experience from that. So I think you'll take that with you and build off of that.
I think the thing that I'm most excited about with these best-on-best tournaments going forward, the hockey world's obviously pretty small, and you have a familiarity with a lot of the guys on your international team, but I mean, we were talking earlier about professional soccer, and I mean, they have myriad international breaks where they get to play with each other and step away from their club teams, and I mean, we haven't had these best-on-best tournaments as often, so for as high of a level as that Four Nations tournament was, I think that the continuity and that increased comfortability for the players playing together more often, I mean, the hockey's just going to get better and better, and the product's just going to improve.
Great. You know, I posted on my Instagram to all 324 followers that I have the little thing that I was doing this, and I have a cousin that I maybe see once every 10 years, but he replied and he said, "I'm not a big hockey game guy, but I was locked on that Four Nations Cup." And to me, that's sort of what you're doing from a marketing standpoint, is you're bringing in that next rung of fans. So maybe each of you could just talk a little bit about your favorite moment from the Four Nations Cup.
Oh, I already spoke to that before. I think that was, you know, national anthem in the Bell Center against Canada. I think that was just incredible, goosebumps. I mean, a moment I'll never forget.
Yeah, awesome.
I mean, the whole experience was incredible, but the coolest thing for me was pulling on the USA jersey at the Boston Garden, because I still know it. You know, having grown up in the Boston area, having so many friends and family there, yeah, nothing can really compare to that. So.
You know, I think from my standpoint, just seeing everything kind of come to fruition, and I'm sure Keith can touch on this, there was a lot of hard work put into it. A lot of people who, you know, put in a lot of time, to, especially on our side, making sure that everyone was organized and players and their families had everything they needed. So I think, you know, seeing it all go off as, you know, with such a success was just a testament to how obviously hard the players worked, but how hard the people behind the scenes worked as well to make sure that as soon as they got ready for the game or they were getting ready on game day, the players didn't have to worry about anything but winning a game.
Yeah, for me, obviously the validation, over 16 million people in North America watched that final game, over 9 million in the U.S., which is a big number for any sport anywhere. But I really knew we had something. We talked about the casual fan. I was unable to go to the final game because my son had a soccer tournament in Florida, because there's obviously nowhere else to play on the East Coast. In the Northeast. So we went to Florida, and I was listening to an older couple, you know, well into their 70s, and they were talking about what time they were having dinner, and I heard the wife say to the husband, "Remember, we have to be home by 8 o'clock so we can watch the gold medal, the final game." And that just kind of blew me away. I'm in Florida, and they were making their plans around when they were going to watch that game, and that just shows you the power of that event, the international competition, and it was great to see the success. And again, I think for the players too, they put so much into it, right? The energy that went into every one of those games. For them to see the validation and have fans to see that product that they've worked their whole lives and play so hard every game was awesome.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. Congratulations. to each of you on the incredible success of the Four Nations Cup, the continued growth of the NHL, and you guys continuing and building your careers both in the NHL and through international competition. And we ended 3 minutes early.
Thank you.
How about that?
Thank you.
Thank you.